Kevin Hart. Kevin Hart. The overnight success. And it only took him 16 years. And that's one of the quotations in the book. The fact that Kevin was complaining that there were people out there, they're like, oh, Kevin Hart. Kevin Hart, have you heard of Kevin Hart? This guy, he came out of nowhere. And now he is one of the biggest superstars on the planet. And he was saying that, yeah, for you guys that came out of nowhere, but you didn't see all the hard work that's been happening for the past 16 years. Because he's been working his butt off to get to the point where he is. And I think that book, the book that he wrote, it's called I Can't Make This Up. That book is amazing because when I read it, I wasn't expecting Kevin Hart to write something this good. I mean, because the amount of knowledge, the amount of wisdom in this book is just, it's mind-blowing, mind-blowing. This is my brother, and he actually hasn't read the book at all.
No, I haven't read it at all. No.
He hasn't read the book at all. Have you read the book?
No.
He hasn't read the book. He hasn't read the book at all. So it'd be interesting to see what his opinion is as someone who has not read the book. So when you think of Kevin Hart, if you hear that Kevin Hart is going to write a book, what kind of book do you expect him to bring out? Yeah.
Probably like a basic book.
Yeah, basic book. Basic book, yeah.
Probably.
Yeah.
Probably a book with relative principle to it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I mean, that sums it up, a basic book. But when I actually read this book was just immense because this is a book that I've been referencing pretty much almost every single day because it's packed with so much insight into how to live your life and how to achieve success in life. Because I've read books, like all kinds of books. People like books like Think and Grow Rich. I've read The Rich Man of Babylon, The Richest Man in Babylon. I've read books by Tim Ferriss. I've read books by Malcolm Gladwell. All kinds of books. And all these books have had a different sort of impact on my life, and they've taught me something different. But this book, I have to say, it kind of stands out really because this is like an actual true story of how someone grew from having pretty much what would be the like a really low form of poverty, and having a no, seriously, because the thing is,
no, I'm saying how do you class? It's like you're saying it's not just poverty, it's a low form of poverty.
Exactly. Because if you look at it this way, because here's what happened. Like, do you know Kevin Hart, his father? He was on drugs.
No.
And he talks about, like, listen. So here's a story that happens in the book, right? So Kevin Hart and his brother are playing basketball. His father turns up and he starts playing basketball against Kevin Hart's brother. Yeah. Kevin Hart's brother beats the dad, at basketball. So he beats him in a basketball match. So guess what the dad does?
He beat him up.
No. Much worse than that. The dad goes, right? He finds a Rottweiler and sets the Rottweiler on his own children. The children climb onto the fence. They're scared for their lives, right? And the dad is there laughing like ha 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 ha. Do you know what I mean? Because his dad, like, he did some crazy things. I mean, that's just one story. There's another story where he lets Kevin Hart drive a speedboat when he's like 8 years old. Then he crashes the speedboat. It's a miracle for them to survive. But those are the kind of things that his dad did, right? And his mom, on the other hand, she was just someone who was super religious and really spiritual, a really strong woman, I'd say, but possibly a bit too strict, according to Kevin Hart.
Yeah.
But this book is so good. I mean, if anyone wants to read this book, I highly recommend this book, because one of the things that he talks about is like how we talked about the fact that when you succeed, people don't see the hard work that you've put in. They only see the result. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's for you, because you go to the gym, don't you? And like sometimes you do things, yeah, exactly, because after a while you've been going to the gym, you start to make progress, but then when people see that, oh yeah, you just went to the gym and you got big, but they don't realize the hard work, the because you've done research, right, into the exercises, what you eat, and you've been dedicated in going to the gym, doing all those things. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And people don't really see that. They only see the result, and they just say, "Oh, look at this guy overnight. Look what he did." Do you know what I mean? So, I mean, like, can you relate to what Kevin is talking about here?
Yeah. It pretty much makes sense because at the end of the day, it
makes sense.
Yeah, it makes sense because, I mean, it's the same with anything, especially with music. I mean, you take someone like Justin Bieber. You know, people thought it was a bit of an overnight success, but I think he used to do is it called buskering? Is that what you would call it?
Busking.
Busking. Yeah. He used to do busking as a child. Yeah. For quite some time until he got found.
Playing music on the streets, grinding on YouTube, until he got discovered one day. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, definitely. And I mean, that's just one of the lessons from the book. And he goes on to talk about other lessons, like the fact that he says that a lot of people, when they get famous, they eventually run into problems and they then go downhill. So they go uphill because of their talent and their dedication, but then when they get to the top, they start to fall. And that's because of those sort of like flaws in their character. So some people have problems with alcohol, some people like gambling, and all these kind of little character flaws that different people might have, and they get magnified when you become really famous. So for example, someone who maybe they can't be faithful to one person, when they get famous, there's going to be paparazzi everywhere taking pictures, and that little character flaw is just going to bring them down and bring down their career. Yeah. Yeah. But it's deep though. That book, I mean, these are just like two things from the book, but that book is such a long book, and it talks about so many different things. Another thing that it talks about is that something that you might be familiar with, it's building a personal brand. So he talks about how instead of promoting every single movie or every single show that he does, he thought it's better to just promote himself once as a brand. So Kevin Hart, this is Kevin Hart, and just try to get more people to like him. And then every time he brings out a new movie, people go to watch the movie because Kevin Hart's in it. Every time he does a new show, people go to see the show because Kevin Hart is in the show. So it's now no longer about promoting each individual movie, each show, each whatever. It's just him. And whatever he does, it doesn't matter what he does, people will still go and see it. His fans, his own fan base will go and see that because it's Kevin Hart.
Yeah, what was the thing that you said about when he met Jay-Z?
Oh yeah, so this was really funny. But I mean, Jay-Z, he went to see Kevin Hart at this was the biggest show that Kevin Hart had done up until this point. And so they're backstage with Kevin Hart, and Chris Rock is there, and Jay-Z is there as well. And Jay-Z turns around and says to Kevin Hart, "You know what, Kevin? This is a really big day for you." "Do you know how I know it's a big day for you?" Kevin Hart says, "No, I don't know. How do you know it's a big day for me?" And Jay-Z turns around and he says, "It's a big day for you because I'm here." And I mean, initially it sounds so egotistical, so big-headed to say, "Yeah, I'm Jay-Z and I'm here, so it's a big day for you." But when you actually think about it, it actually does make sense. He had a really good point, because it doesn't matter who you are. If Jay-Z makes it a point to come and see you performing, that's how you know you've made it. Whether you're a sports person, whether you're a singer, whether you're a clown on stage, no matter what it is that you do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
If Jay-Z leaves his house to come and see you because he wants to see you because you're that good, you know you made it. Do you know what I mean? And it's not just about Jay-Z himself, it's about people like Jay-Z. It could be anyone. Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But that was one of the highlights from the book. But literally, this book is just pages and pages, so many chapters in this book. And I guarantee, pretty much every single chapter that you pick up, you learn something. And I think when you read through the book, the biggest lessons you learn from this book are lessons about success and lessons about relationships, because it talks a lot about his relationship with his wife and his first wife, then his girlfriends, all those things. It talks about those kind of relationships and the kind of mistakes that people make and how you know you're with the right person, those kind of things. And the other thing he talks about is relationships with your family. Like, how do you relate to people in your family?
Mm-hmm.
Like, what do you do if people in your family do something against you? Do they do something bad to you? I mean, how do you find forgiveness? How do you reconcile the family? How do you get the whole family back together when something bad happens and it breaks up the family?
Mm-hmm.
And it's those kinds of relationships that he covers. And when you read this book, I mean, he covers so many things that it's just incredible. This, I can honestly say, is one of the best books I've ever read. And I've read all kinds of books. Books from finance, books from how to progress with your talents, books on fiction, all kinds of books. And I can honestly say, this book is one of the best books that I've ever read because it's so applicable to your life in the short term and in the long term. Read it. Read it. It is interesting. Read it. Go and read it. Read this book. Yeah. But anyway, guys, thanks for watching. And we'll probably see you again next time with another review of a different book. We'll tell you whether we like the book or if it's not even worth reading. So yeah, we'll see you next time.
Okay. Yeah, see.
Bye.
Yeah, bye.